We're going to go on to our next speaker now, who is from the Allan Gray Orbis Foundation. Also really, really excited to have him join us this afternoon. Dlamini, who's a stakeholder and partnership specialist. Super, super incredible. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Allan Gray Orbis Foundation, but it's really a foundation that invests in education and the development of individuals with entrepreneurial potential within Southern Africa. So it's not just in South Africa. They operate in Kenya, Botswana, and Namibia. And they really believe that it takes one really responsible, high-impact entrepreneur to change the reality of our city, our communities, the country, and even the world. And I think you, as Future Global Leaders Club, are really shaped to be those game changers. So he's going to talk about the foundation, the mission, the vision of the foundation, how you can become an Allan Gray Orbis Foundation fellow, also the key careers that they're looking to encourage you on, and of course, the impact that you can have as a candidate. Caleb, good afternoon. How are you?
Fine, and you, how are you doing? And with your future global leaders, thank you, Olu, too.
Oh, well, so excited to have you. I'm going to do the same as I did with Sudesh, just welcome you and give you the floor.
Thank you so much. It's never easy to come after an engineer, someone who has been able to build some bridges. Hopefully he's not from Cape Town, because we know there are some bridges in Cape Town that were not finished, that are still hanging. But I can see he's quite young. Obviously, he was not involved in that project. But good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity to actually have a chat with the global future leaders. It's so interesting, Lihle, to actually find myself in this kind of forum. And I'm so moved because when I first bumped into the stand where your mom was, immediately it just drew me to go and have a look, and I was so inquisitive to actually see that stand and see the book. And then she took me through it, and immediately when she finished, I bought the book on the spot for my own daughters. And I said to my colleague who was there, who comes from the scholarship program and the foundation that I'm talking about, I was like, this is really good for our scholars. Is it possible that we can actually buy books for them? And immediately she bought two. So that's how impactful. I hadn't even read anything from your quotes, but immediately, and when I brought the book and I put it on the table at home, it's been read. I can tell you that it's been read. I don't know whether it's been implemented, but it's been read. That's one for sure. So thank you so much for that, and thank you for coming through here. To the matrix, I think the broader thing that I could actually say to the matrix is, this is the time where it's your most important time of your 12 years, because this is the only time where you've got to be able to, yeah, reap what you sow, if I can put it as simply as that. This is the opportunity you get to actually say, all these years of 12 years, what is it that I actually have? Pity for you guys, because you've got to actually study. During our time when we were in matric, during my time when I was in matric, which is some few years back, we never used to study. We just used to rock up and write and pass. Either you've had the teacher or you've not had the teacher. Not because we didn't have facilities to study, but it's because the teachers used to do a great job. You guys, you've got to do quite a lot on yourself. So thank you for so much. My talk is going to be more on the grade 11s, because the grade 12s, the bus has bolted, it has passed through. So all the way to, I don't know whether you are able to see my screen, if you can
Yes, absolutely
confirm.
perfect. Nice and clear
Okay,
in
great.
presentation mode.
Thank you so much. Great. Okay, so I think this statement right from the beginning, it just outlines exactly what we are all about as a foundation. We are 20 years into this journey. As you can see our logo up there, this is just for this year. But our logo also means quite a lot if you look at those circles. They are not really semicircles or whatever you can call it in the engineering or mathematics or scientific, but these are E's. If I can define them, they are E's. There are four E's that we have there. Education is there, ethics is there, entrepreneurship is there, and effort is there. So those are the four kind of E's that we believe in the foundation. So it was formed 20 years ago by our founder Allan Gray himself. He is a human being. For those who probably don't know, he is a human being. He came from the Eastern Cape. Sadly, he passed away 2019, but the legacy still lives on. To us, he has not passed because the mandate that he left us is quite clear. When he formed the company in 1974, he said, everyone who wants to join this Allan Gray as directors or to be part of this company, when we make a profit, we are going to invest in Black African entrepreneurs. So in other words, his vision and his dream was when this company makes money, and one of the impacts that he wanted to do was to make sure that there are some entrepreneurs in Africa. And in 2005, he realized this is a time to do it, and he invested his own personal money into it to start the foundation. But that commitment of the company in 1974 was never left alone. As a result, they are still continuing to invest as best as they could. Let me just skip the agenda because I can see 30 minutes is not a very long time, and I would like you to guys to actually ask questions where you can. So here, who are we generally? What we are looking for. How can we empower in order to have an African citizenry that is striving ethically in a society and give it dignity and hope? How do we do that? How do you bring dignity and hope? It's very simple. You create jobs. Once you create jobs, you know very well people are going to earn some salary. When they earn a salary, they are able to actually do whatever makes them comfortable in their lifestyle. So that's where the dignity generally comes from. So our biggest value proposition is just to make sure that we create some entrepreneurial mindset to the individuals that we come across. There are many different ways that we actually do it. So if I move to the next one, is we've got these four programs that we actually use to be able to actually bring this ethical entrepreneurship kind of journey that we're on. One of them, we call it our Allan Gray Entrepreneurship Challenge. This is a game that can be played by anyone, irrespective of what grade you are. In high school specifically, not where you are, but in high school, grade 8 up to 12 can play this game irrespective of your performance. I know I'm talking to high performers here, but irrespective of what performance you are. Why? Because we are trying to encourage each and every high school student to actually have an entrepreneurial mindset, irrespective that somewhere in the future you are going to embark on a journey to actually create a venture. I don't think Lihle at 13, 14 years even thought this was going to grow up to what it is today. And look where it is now. That's the kind of mindset that we're looking for. Who are the people who can actually bring some values consciously and unconsciously? If you have an entrepreneurial mindset, irrespective whether you're not running a business for profit, but you are impacting positively into the society in the careers that you do. So the next program that we have, so I encourage you to play. Those who are in grade 11, they can play. Those who are in grade 12 now, you can register and play. You just click on your browser, just write Allan Gray Entrepreneurship Challenge. You can register, you can play. And the game is always live throughout the year. We never take it off because we want access to anyone. Those who think, okay, it's very expensive, it's data. It's just a matter of 15 megabytes for 30 minutes to play the game. That is not a lot to ask. But if you are really inquisitive and you want to learn about entrepreneurship, you can actually do that. So now, then we then move to the next program. The next program probably doesn't speak much to you also because you are now in grade 11. But just for information, in case you've got a cousin, you've got a sister, we do have a scholarship program that recruits primary school kids. When they're in grade 6, they can apply. And once they've applied, they go through a selection. Once they qualify, they then get into different schools that we place them. And I know Njalo Nombembe Mbembe, who's part of the Future Global Leaders. I saw her name. She was part of our scholarship program. So maybe it's another point of reference if you know her. But if you don't, but I saw a Nombembe here. I don't know who's a Nombembe who's here, whether it's related, but irrespective, it's very important that you are able to get this information and you can actually distribute, because we believe in the power of word of mouth. Then the program that is very close to you now is actually the entrepreneurship program, which is a fellowship program in the university. You are in grade 11 now. You are moving into grade 12 next year. You have an opportunity to apply for this program. But then who can actually get in here? These are people who believe they can be taught to actually become entrepreneurs. So in other words, we are looking for people who believe they've got a potential to be entrepreneurs, irrespective that you'll end up being an entrepreneur. And these are people who will end up, through our teaching, who will end up being high impact, responsible entrepreneurs. What do you mean by that? It's quite a loaded statement. It's simple. It simply means these are people who are going to create businesses or ventures which are going to employ people, which are going to last for a very long time. Think of your Pick and Pay, for instance. Your Pick and Pay has been around. I can't even remember when I first heard about Pick and Pay, but they are still in the game. They are still employing people. They are still changing lives in the many ways of the job that they have, and they are growing. So these are the kind of businesses that we are talking about, but there's quite a lot of diversity in terms of that. So, in other words, if I can just jump a little bit further and say, what does it mean to be, once you've actually made in there? I'll give you the qualifications. How can you get in? But this is what you have access to in terms of our program once you have made it. So you will have the access to the online campus. What is this? This is a unique platform that we have, where we have developed a curriculum where we teach you while you're at university how to become this high impact responsible entrepreneur we're talking about. So in other words, while you are studying academically, you are also being trained to become entrepreneurial. So in other words, you will be then expected to do some task that you need to do in order for you to actually make this impactful. Very critical here. If you don't pass our online campus, you actually don't graduate as an Allan Gray Fellow, which is very detrimental, if I can put it upfront. So in other words, while you're doing your academics, you are then expected to actually fulfill this mandate, because this is how we expect you to learn. On top of that, we also assign to you a program officer. We call them POs in short. But these are people who actually look at your welfare. Getting into university, probably now you think, oh no, I'm actually a high flyer. I'm in the top, whatever, in your school. But getting to university, you are all equal. You're all starting in a clean slate. And when you get to university, it's even more difficult, because your parent doesn't need to sign anything for you. So in other words, when you're at university, you are over 18 generally, unless you were lucky to finish matric at 16, you still have your parents' consent. But when you get to university, there is quite a lot of pressures that you have got to deal with, because now you're an adult. Chances are you find yourselves living on your own, in your own flat, in your own sort of accommodation. You've got to find a way how to cook for yourself, how to mend for yourself. You need to socialize. This is where it becomes a little bit of a challenge. So the program officer is to make sure that you land at university, you land very well, and whatever issues that come your way in your journey at university, they are there to look after you. And these come as part of the package of being in the foundation, and also to make sure that you actually succeed. If you fall behind in your studies, the program officer can arrange some kind of interventions. This could be psychological, if it's psychological, but there are quite a number of facilities that he can actually. But she's a go, or he or she is a go-to person whenever you need to. When you're in third year and you are in your final year, we then bring a mentor, a business mentor. This person or these people are normally two. In fact, one of them is more or less on the entrepreneurial side. The other one is more or less on your on the work after, or what are you going to do after matric. These kind of individuals, then they look after you in terms of whatever business ideas you actually do have. Remember, when we selected you, we realized you've got a potential in terms of being an entrepreneur in the future. When you are in our program, we keep on sort of like checking with you. What are the ideas? How can you develop them? Where are you in your ideation? Are you ready to move a little bit step forward? So the person who's an entrepreneurial officer does that. Then the business mentor, when you're about to exit university, what kind of opportunities are there? What is in the workplace? So it's a fully rounded kind of opportunity that you actually have in order for you, when you exit university, you are quite prepared. Whether you go the entrepreneurial route or you decide to start with the career route, it's all allowed. And these are the people who work after you. Then the third one is the access to the community. The community currently is sitting at 972. When you guys apply next year, we will be over 1,000. So in other words, there are 1,000 like-minded people, if you get selected, that actually are roaming around the world, not just the country. They are around the world because most of them, they go everywhere. And these are people, 346 of these people are actually running their own businesses. I'm sure some of you, if I can make an example, when you are in a restaurant, if you're lucky to have your own card and you want to pay, or you have seen your parents paying, there's a speed point called Yoko. The owner of that, one of the owners of the Yoko, came from the project, from the program. So in other words, he was a student through us, and he is a fellow right now. It's part of that community. So when you look at Lyoko, currently it's worth about over 3 billion rand in terms of its business value. So there are quite a number of them like that. So out of the 346, some of them are running the businesses part-time, some of them are running the businesses full-time. So in other words, we are giving you an opportunity to say you do have the potential. That one we never forget. So you belong to this community after you have finished university. And while you are at university, you still have access to them because we do bring them to you somehow in some of our events that we actually have. So the last one, which is an access to the entrepreneurial seminars that we have, these are the face-to-face that I'm saying that we bring it to you. We've got workshops, we've got a big event which you normally bring everyone together. You can see and you can actually experience that they actually do exist. It's not just on paper. So that's quite an opportunity that you all have. No one else gets to that kind of opportunity. Who are we looking for? We are looking for people whose parents are earning 1 million below. Those one, they receive full funding. Okay. So if your parent receives 1 million rand and below, you will get full funding. Full funding meaning every kind of aspect that you can think of in terms of your tuition fees, as listed right there. I am sure you can all read. So you get those kind of opportunities. Then if your parent is 1 million rand and above, we are able to provide some tuition fees for you. In other words, then you take care of some accommodation. So we normally do some kind of co-funding in terms of that. So we normally just look and see where do you need to be assisted. And those who are 1.5 and above, those ones, they just get just tuition fee, tutoring searches, and counseling also. Okay, so I'm definitely speaking to the converted when it comes to academics. I don't think I will have to stress a little bit more on this one because all of you who are here, as far as I know, the program and what is interesting about it, you are meeting all these criteria. And I even doubt you are doing anything to do with math literacy. But if you do, it's fine. So we are looking for this. It's very low for you guys, 60% and 70%. But what is very critical, you must be a South African citizen. That's definitely. You must be below 21 years, which definitely you are. But the third one is the indication of entrepreneurial. So in other words, you must have these kind of ideas that you have that you think can actually change this world. So I'm talking about your leaders of tomorrow that can actually have these kind of ventures, even much bigger than this one. I know she's even outside of South Africa. So we're looking at those individuals who are looking to say, I can actually influence Africa and the world in a many different way. We do have battery of tests that we do in terms of identifying that. Then we don't fund those who are doing medicine. Probably it will come badly to you, some of you who are interested in medicine. We don't fund medicine. We don't fund veterinary sciences, and we don't do dentistry. There is one obvious reasons why we do it, because these three disciplines, they've got their own demands. That's why, which then will clash with our own entrepreneurial demands that we need you to actually fulfill in order for you to remain in the program. So that's one aspect of why. Medicine takes 7 years, we only give you 4 years. Veterinary services take 5 years, we only give you 4 years. So dentistry also has its own dynamics. So that's the reason. But any other career, we are very open to actually applying. So next year, we are opening the applications February, and we're running up until April. That's where the closing date on the 30th of April, 5 o'clock, and we don't make any late applications. We don't take late applications, and we take online applications. We also reluctantly also do physical applications, but online works much better because it allows much better sort of processing of the information, and it's a little bit more reliable most of the time. Sometimes with physical applications, they get posted in the post office. They can get stuck because of different reasons in the post office. We don't have any kind of control, and they easily get lost and so on. And it sort of creates a little bit, but online, we're definitely able to. But you guys, you are already online now on this platform, which means you are definitely versatile in doing that. Then after we have what's critical about the form that you are going to fill, it's not just your information, who you are, what you do, your results, and so on. It goes deeper than that. There are 9 critical questions that you ask you. Let me give you one example of the question. One example of the question is your strengths. Give us your top 3 strengths. So when you are giving us your top strengths, we are expecting you in relation to the career that you want to do. So in other words, when you say your biggest strength is responsibility, so the career that you want to take, you must demonstrate in answering that question that it is linked to your strength. For instance, if you are a responsible person and you want to study to be a chartered accountant in some future, chartered accountancy come with a little bit of it. You need to demonstrate whether you understand what that kind of responsibility is, if this is your biggest strength. So that's just one of the questions. One of the questions we ask you is about some of the things that you have done in the past that shows actually you are able to change some kind of trajectory when you see things are not going well. I will make an example. For instance, you are in a class situation, your teacher, you can see, this class is going haywire. Whatever they are discussing here is not giving some kind of a value because you've got 3 or 4 naughty kids in the class. Then you come up with a strategy of assisting the teacher how to actually contain that kind of class. So once you step into that role, as you are showing that you actually have some kind of leadership, you are able in the form to demonstrate to us how were you able to actually come up with this idea, what actions did you take to actually change in terms of the way the teacher was actually controlling this class because it was affecting your education, and then you list those steps in the form, and then you are able to actually demonstrate on the form to us that after you have done this kind of interventions in terms of the actions that you have done, this was the result that actually happened. So in other words, we are looking for someone who is quite aware on what's happening around and is quite aware of some of the intervention that is actually coming up with. So that's what we look for in the form. Then after that, you get shortlisted into the step two. Step two, this is where we then invite you on a face-to-face interview. There are two assessors who are in front of you, and they are able to ask you a number of questions. We are not asking about academics anymore. Once you get shortlisted out of this of step one, your academics are already in place. We are now looking at the entrepreneurial ability that you actually have. Sorry, not ability, but potential that you actually have. The next step, which is more or less the last step that we have, we then invite you into a physical kind of camp where then you are now competing with the rest of those shortlisted to show that actually you are, in terms of ideas, you are much better than the others that are there in the camp. So you are given tasks where you can present an idea, business idea on your own, and you're also given a task where you can actually present an idea in a group of people, and you are able to influence the group in order for you to come up with a prototype that could be a business venture that the group can actually take on, whether you are taking on at the time, but it's an idea that can actually be something that can actually be impactful in a society. That's what we look for in the next step. Then after that, you are then accepted. So I've already talked about the submission. I don't have to go through here. I might as well thank you, but I do have 6 minutes, which means I can be able to go through the chat if there is a chat all the way to.
Yes, I think we should have a look and see if there's some questions. Puduvuko, sorry, now I'm going upside down. As soon as I leave the
I think there's nothing.
No, but
I
I've
see
got some
nothing.
questions. I've got
Okay.
I I have some questions. So the application form, they can find that application online. Is it available now? And they can start prepping before submission opens in February? Or is
It
the
comes,
application
yeah, it's gonna come at the beginning of February, but we do have last year's form. It's not gonna change much. So I can send it to you and then you can share it with the group.
that'll be fantastic.
We don't
Uh,
have a problem with that. So yeah, because
okay.
it's just a reference. Yeah, if
Mm,
it changes, it won't change that much. Remember, the questions that we ask you are individualist, so there's nothing to copy. It's
mm,
about you. We are
mm.
assessing you. We're not asking assessing anyone else.
And so for
And you
this,
can't be coached to actually answer the forms because then you've got the interview where you will get stuck.
absolutely. So this is
Yeah.
for grade 11 students
Grade
exclusive.
11 students, yes. So sad
Okay.
for the grade 12s. I can see that comment, yes. So sad for the grade 12s because the bus has bolted, yes.
Okay, all right. Ugunga is asking a question. I think you've just answered now about where to access the
I've
application
Oh,
forms.
the grade is asking about the primary school one. That
Okay.
one opens, it opens in June each year, June to mid-September. In the foundation, we try by all means to be consistent with our information, especially on the application side. We more or less keep the same timelines so that people don't get confused. So the grade 12s, it's February up to end of April. The grade six, who there's always to be grade six. You always to be in grade six. You can't apply outside of that grade. And that one is beginning of June and mid-September each year. We don't change the dates for our processes are so rigid.
All right. And it doesn't matter where in the country these students are based. It's not something where you have to be in Joburg or Cape Town to be able to access
No.
this.
No, the only difference with the primary applications, that is the scholarship, we are looking for kids who are coming from I forgot to say that, who are coming from very low income families.
Mm,
So our maximum is 20,000, but the 20,000 is also staggered. So if you've got one child, it's 14,000 as your maximum monthly income as a household. And then if you've got two kids, it's going to be 17,000. Then if you've got three kids and above, it's then the maximum 20,000 that we look for. So we're looking for kids who actually don't have that kind of financial muscle to go to the schools that I didn't mention. I don't want to mention them, but are the schools that are giving good quality education. I think most of your, or not most, some of your members here are actually there. But I can maybe there's nothing wrong. It's just that people then get the wrong impression that you are gonna go to the school. So
Mm.
in the Eastern Cape, for instance, we've got in East London, we've got Hudson Park, we've got Clarendon, then we've got Collegiate in PE. In Cape Town, we've got Rustenburg, we've got Settlers, we've got Westerford, we've got Bishops, and then in Joburg, we've got your St. Andrews, we've got your Parktowns, we've got your Greenside. In Limpopo, we've got Paps. In Mpumalanga, we've got Penryn. So we are in each and every, we've got a school in each and every province except Northern Cape.
All right,
Sorry for
fantastic.
Northern Cape, but we are working hard to get a school. We haven't found a school that meets the way we work. Okay, there's a question there. No, we don't have grade 10 currently, but we are working on it.
Okay,
So
all right.
I'm sorry for that. I hope you are not in grade 10 because it's definitely going to affect you, but you can work towards your grade 12 anyway. It will be there when you grade to grade 12. So start working now. You are in this program. I'm sure you're working hard. But work on your entrepreneurial side and please don't force it. If entrepreneurship is not in your mind, don't worry. There
Mm.
are other things in life.
Fantastic. But Caleb, Nkosi kakhulu, thank you for your time. Uzabalaza Unandi for just saying, you know your industry and the work that you do so well and speak so passionately. We truly appreciate it for presenting this
Thank you so
opportunity.
much. Thank you so much, Zabalaza.
And I know we're going to have lots of applications coming through before the 30th of April. Nkosi kakhulu. Any final thoughts to our FGLers as they step into the exams?
It's just admiration. It's
Mm.
admiration to actually have these kind of individuals who are working so hard. And I must say, hats off to you because I think maintaining this kind of membership to remain here because I've read almost everything about the profile and so on. I just admire you guys and I take you hats off and I say, continue doing this. South Africa is in good hands with you.
Fantastic. And Kakhulu, wow, if we could all cheer, I wish we like a big round of applause. Such incredible speakers. But Caleb, you must have a fantastic evening, and I'm sure we'll encounter each other again soon.